Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 3, Episode 2, title From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea. So weird. Air date October 12th, 2005, and the synopsis is
Brooke has an end of the summer party at the beach. Nathan is home from basketball camp. Lucas deals with Brooke's rules for dating. Peyton deals with family issues, and Haley tries to tell Nathan how she feels. So we start off with Lucas on the beach, organizing the rocks to make that bonfire.
this is weird because then like Dan comes up to him
Mm-hmm.
and was like, whoa, look who's starting a fire.
Yeah.
It was just so weird.
I think that was just their only way to think of like for Dan to like suspect that Lucas started the fire and have that confrontation with him.
Something. It was just weird though. It's like, go away.
Yeah. And then he goes back later anyhow to, make the bonfire again. So I don't know why they hadn't had him do it twice.
Well, isn't it too early? Like everyone's
Yeah.
just waking up and he's going to start a bonfire. That's like what you do at night when you're ready to have a party.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird.
Yeah. They just needed a way to get Dan there. That's all.
Couldn't he have done it at the party?
Yeah. But then there'd be like a lot of people around, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's only talking to Lucas. He could talk to Lucas then too.
Yeah. But then Nathan could see and
Nathan wasn't even there.
No, I'm talking about if it was at the party.
Nathan
he shows
wasn't
up
there.
late. Well, doesn't he show up later?
Only because Lucas made him.
Yeah, I guess
That
if
was
Dan
it.
stopped by before then, yeah, I don't know. And then next we see Peyton wake up to find Brooke painting on her closet door with that list.
I thought it was funny because when she said, "Oh, nice of you to knock," and then Brooke was like, "I didn't want to wake you, sleeping bitchy." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
But why is Brooke in there?
Yeah, and painting on, Peyton's closet doors.
Yes.
Not getting her permission or anything and doing it while she's sleeping.
Like, I know that Peyton loves to draw and everything on her own walls, but that's her walls.
Yeah.
And to have somebody else do it is rude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if that's your best friend or not. That's just rude of Brooke to just assume she can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's just, and she's writing names and stuff. Like, I can't with Brooke.
Right.
I mean, it's iconic for the show.
Mm-hmm.
The closet doors.
Yeah.
Because obviously it comes back later on. But yeah, I was just like, that's just so rude. And how long? And clearly she's been in there for a while because she made all like look perfect and pretty and
yeah.
And Peyton's just sleeping. Like, it's so creepy.
Mm-hmm. And then there's always everybody else going in her room too, so they'll see the list as well. So
I guess Peyton just has to keep her closet door shut 24/7.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everyone's gonna know what it says.
Yeah. Yeah, so of course Brooke going to that because they're both available and the party's tonight. And they want to avoid.
So she's supposed to pick these guys tonight on her list.
Well, whoever would be at the party maybe. But yeah, Brooke says she wants to avoid another Lucas love triangle this way. Which I get, but I don't know. She could have just wrote it down. Yeah, she could just wrote it down in a notebook and give Payne the list that way. But
what do you need a list? What, these people are not property.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you say you get somebody and I get somebody does not mean that person even wants you. So it doesn't make any sense. I'm like, why are we treating them as if they're property?
Yeah, and some of them are band members.
Unavailable.
Yeah. And then Payne's dad's on Brooke's list.
Oh my God, Brooke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like Brooke's list is of course Lucas.
Yeah.
Eye rolls. Then she has who? She has Larry, her Peyton's dad,
Mm-hmm.
and she has Mouth too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then she said Nathan's Uncle Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
When did she see? Oh, at the hospital, maybe she saw Uncle Cooper. Otherwise, they did not interact together.
Mm-hmm.
So that had been the only time she would have seen him.
Right.
Because it's not like he comes to town.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't go to Nathan's basketball games.
Yeah.
So that'd be the only time I would think.
Yeah, and for Brooke, she has her half of the guys of the team. Peyton gets the other half, and also all the lifeguards at the beach as well.
So who gets skills?
Yeah, she put someone from the Foo Fighters. Peyton gets Jake and Nathan, but he's kind of a
Yeah.
risk because he's in Mary Limbo. And
And
then
then she said half the other guys on the team.
and
then
Anna.
and then she said the river court. Oh yeah, that's what she said. Skills, Fergie, and garbage.
Yeah.
Okay, Cynthia and garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! And then Peyton goes junk, and she goes right.
Yeah.
Like we're coming back to Brooke with the whole mouth thing. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
It was like by now though, Brooke should know the friends because they're Lucas's friends.
Yeah.
Remember at the beginning, we're like, why is she so rude to Mouth? Like, you know his name. And here you go. Like, by now, you should know Lucas. You want to get back with Lucas, right? You should know his friends.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. So to call him garbage? What?
Right. And then Peyton gets also the rest of the Foo Fighters. And then they talk about, about Dave, and because Peyton wants him apparently. So Brooke says that she'll trade him for Anna. So they make a deal on that.
I thought it was funny because she goes, so Peyton goes, so I get a fugitive and a married guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's like you guys aren't gonna get with like anyone. So
Right.
So why are we fighting over this?
Right. I mean, because we know technically they don't end up with anybody on their list, so.
Right. Peyton ends up with somebody on Brooke's list.
Yep.
That's why it's just so funny because it's like the fact that they have to go off this list.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't mean that person wants you.
Mm-hmm.
How come they never came I guess they did come back to the list, but it's just funny.
Right.
But it's also Brooke's whole idea. Like Peyton can't have a love life, apparently, unless Brooke is controlling that, which is so controlling as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
This is why, I mean, when people say, like, Brooke and Peyton are great, she's dictating Peyton's love life.
Mm-hmm.
She's basically, once again, degrading Peyton, saying basically, these are the guys I don't want, so you get them all.
Mm-hmm.
That is so rude. If
Yeah.
you love your friend, you should want her to have what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? Like, this is why I don't get why people love this friendship.
Right.
She's always downgrading her
Mm-hmm.
with comments that she's saying. And here we're season 3. Like, isn't Brooke supposed to be changing? And she's still downgrading Peyton.
Right.
Like, yeah, is it funny? Yeah, but at the same time, when you look at their friendship, it's not funny.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd be like, really? I'm supposed to be your best friend? And do you think this is what I deserve?
Right.
It's just so rude. And why is Nathan even on the list?
Yeah, because I guess he's technically free because he's not with Haley, but
He's still married.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. And like, again, like he'd want either one of them.
Mm-hmm. And then we go to the river court because Nathan's there when Lucas walks up. And that's the first time they're seeing each other since Nathan got back.
And Nathan is still pissed, as Lucas says.
Yep.
And then it was weird because he's like, are we friends and stuff? And it's like, Lucas, you finally got to be in what? It was more brothers though than it was friends. I mean, yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, but you can't erase being brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But then Nathan was like, "I'll play you for it." Eye rolls.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then they start the game, and he keeps winning, Nathan. So Nathan says, "I guess we're not friends,"
Well, and of course Nathan is gonna win because Lucas has the heart condition
Mm-hmm.
that
And no pills.
that nobody knows about besides Dan. And you could see it in this episode of like Lucas being like grabbing his chest and like sweating to death. And it was just like just the fact that, of course Nathan is gonna, yes, is he a better basketball player? Yes. Did he just go to high flyers so he's like even better? Yes. But also he's got the high up just because he doesn't have the heart condition.
Right.
Lucas could, but why would Lucas even play it? He could pass out.
Well, I think he's just trying to keep up the act that everything's fine.
He should say, well, that's just stupid. Like, I'm not going to play you in a stupid game that doesn't matter just to see if we're friends.
Right.
Like, he could. I was just like, you're risking your life, and it's not even for something that's important. Because at the end of the day, even if you had won, Nathan would still say something that would make you not friends. Because he doesn't want to be your friend. That has nothing to do with the game. That's what I mean. It's not important.
Right.
It's not like the championship. It doesn't. This game didn't matter. So you're going to risk your whole life for that? And also, so Nathan hates you, right? You go and have a heart attack. Is he going to save you?
He said he wasn't.
Because it's just the two of you. There's no one else there that's going to save your ass.
Yep.
You're also you're also, you could die. And Nathan's the only one that's there.
Yeah. And then we see the apartment with Haley and Brooke finally with their room because it's a 1-bedroom apartment, so they're sharing the room. Each got a side.
I had a thing about this.
Yeah.
So like Brooke has this like, pretty bed and stuff. And I'm sure it's a big bed because it's Brooke. Haley has like a mattress. The room wasn't that big when it was Nathan's.
Right.
I'm so confused at this. I'm like, it's the same apartment. And it only fit Nathan's bed.
Right.
Remember how tight it was? But now we can fit Brooke's big bed, all her stuff, and also a mattress for Haley and Haley's stuff in the corner.
Right.
That room wasn't that big. It barely fit Nathan's stuff. Because he had like what? One dresser?
Yeah.
And his bed. And that was it. It was a small room. But now all of a sudden the room is so big because Brooke's bed is way over there. And like the other corner. And I'm like, this doesn't even look right. How are we going to just act like the room is the same size?
Yeah, I don't know. The girls on Drama Queens didn't talk about that either, so I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm talking about it. They don't talk about everything. I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, who was dumb enough to think that that's okay?
I just thought it was funny how Brooke's side is all nice and settled in, and then Haley's just right there with the mattress and boxes, still closed, like she's just being there for a day or so.
But wouldn't it have been better if it was a different apartment?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess they didn't. I don't know.
And again, we're going back to how did Brooke even get it? Because I'm sure there's a wait list. And if Dan had only paid for the last month of rent, that means all summer it would have went to somebody else who's on the wait list because it's a nice apartment. And Brooke came at the end of what, August? the last little part of summer, and all of a sudden it's hers. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, the apartment would have been taken during the summer. That was 3 months of someone else living there. So it's just weird how she's gonna get the apartment. Because it would have been one thing if like Dan had covered all summer, and then Brooke came back and it was like, oh well, I'm taking over or whatever. But the fact that, which I don't even think she could still do, I think they would still put whoever's next on the wait list, which wouldn't be Brooke.
Right.
So either way, it doesn't make sense, but I just don't get how it wasn't taken over the summer. So that's a pretty nice apartment.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make any sense. But it would make more sense if it was the same apartment building, but a different apartment, and that's why it's bigger. Because Brooke likes bigger.
Yeah.
And better. So I could see why that would make more sense of why there's room for her bed and room for a mattress for Haley and all their stuff. That would make more sense. And it could also still look like the same because, apartment buildings, I'm sure they make every room or every apartment the same in their building because they're not going to sit there and take months to figure out each one, right? They're going to make all the colors the same, all of the side. I mean, they're going to make it all look the same, like the kitchen layout and everything. It's just one might be a little bigger than the other. And I just feel like that's what they should have done.
Yeah, they could have just had Haley come back to the apartment complex and see that someone else is living there, and she's trying to like plead with them, like, please let me take this apartment. I used to live here with my husband, and trying to like explain her situation. And then that's when, the person tells her no and shuts the door. And that's when Brooke comes up walking with her boxes and saying, oh, I'm just moving in here. What are you doing here? And then, that's how it starts. And like, then Brooke brings Haley in because she knows she doesn't have anywhere to live. So they could just done that.
Pity on her. And it could have been trauma because I know like they want to like make it where she has to like live in the same dang wall as Nathan. Like Nathan left it, but it's like it could have been just as dramatic as her showing up to the same apartment complex and having that same trauma and all those same memories of you walking up and making out and that's the balcony. And it's like it could have been the same exact thing except for it just would make more sense if it was a different apartment. Maybe it could have been the apartment right next door. It's like I used to live right there.
Right.
Like, why am I living right next door? It just feels weird. I don't know, but it's just weird that all of a sudden the bedroom is like twice the size. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So Brooke was nice to bring coffee for Haley and notice that she's still wearing her wedding ring. So that means that Haley took it off and then put it back on, right? Because she did have it off for a bit. Yeah.
So when she got on tour, she had taken it off. And all of a sudden, she's wearing her wedding ring.
I guess she must have put it on when she got back, but
no, I think she put it on when she came back and Mr. Nathan had signed the annulment papers. Because why else would she? I mean, I just don't get why she put on now because your marriage was basically over. Why you should have put it on before, or I don't know, never have taken it off. So that's my whole thing is why now, Haley? Like we're making your wedding ring a big deal now. It wasn't a big deal last season when you were on tour and your marriage was you actually were married.
Yeah.
When your husband was trying to fight for the two of you, your ring didn't matter then. Why should it matter now?
Right.
When it's over? Just
stupid.
Yeah,
because even Brooke thinks it's over, saying like, oh, that's a good idea to keep it on because, for guys, it's like a aphrodisiac, for them. But Haley says she just needs one guy. And Brooke still cluelessly thinks that, Haley has a new guy, but she tells,
how
Brooke
is she
that it's
that stupid?
Yeah, I don't know. They I feel like maybe it was. Was it this season that kind of dimmed her down a little bit? Maybe.
I don't know. I feel like all through high school, well, season 3, she still has her dumb moments.
Mm-hmm.
I think season 4, she gets better.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just stupid. It's like, unless it's Chris Keller. No.
Mm-hmm. And then Brooke points out to Haley that she hasn't unpacked yet. And like it's a little naive, isn't it? And Haley says she's just stalling, because she doesn't want to unpack, because then that means her split from Nathan is real.
I thought she said it's already real.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, that's what Brooke said. But then Haley, starts moping, and Brooke says, know about that. So she, brings her up and walks her into the living room to show her that she like redone the whole living room with decor.
I thought this is definitely, it doesn't add up. The
Why?
fact that it could be done, that whole
Yeah, overnight.
wall, and like Peyton came over and like
Haley
it's
slipped through it.
yeah, like
Mm.
if Peyton came over, they'd be having a good time. They probably would have music playing,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna just tell me that she slept through it all, and all of a sudden it's done in one night. First of all, paint has to dry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Normally you would get back to painting like early morning or the next day. You're not gonna paint right over wet paint.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at
Yeah,
all.
it's probably why they had Brooke tell Haley that she sleeps like a dead person, and that's why she didn't hear them. But
How did it get done through the night?
yeah, I don't know.
I could see like half of it getting done, but again, the paint still has to dry and it takes hours.
So I feel like they had to have been up all night, and that would explain why Peyton's tired. So that means that Brooke has still been up, and after she got
Went to
done with the
Peyton,
living room, yeah, and then went to Peyton's and did her closet. So she was just doing artwork all night, apparently.
and she's awfully cheerful for someone that got no sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then then they talk about how she did that. And Brooke says that she's going to need to ask for next month's rent because she spent the money on the couch and the rugs and stuff. And, Haley says I should just go half because they're roommates after all. And Brooke says good because she kind of ate half of her rainbow sherbet last night while she was hanging the wall mural. And then Haley asks where she got it anyway. And Brooke answers the freezer, thinking Haley is talking about the sherbet still. So Haley lets her know she was actually talking about the wall mural. That was always funny to me. And that's when Brooke explains to her that it's the French Riviera and that Payne helped her. So then that's when Haley says that Lucas filled her in about her mom's situation. And Brooke says, yeah, she's on high alert because Ellie's back in town. So then Haley asks how Payne's taking it. And just then the laptop chimes, making Brooke said there she is now, and tells Haley she's sending her a last minute flyer for the party tonight. And then tells Haley she's not allowed to sulk tonight. And that they're going to have fun at the party because it's supposed to be all dark and depressing, Brooke says, because she's looking at the flyer that Peyton sent her, and then says to Haley, well, you asked how she's taking it. There you go. But the flyer looked more like spooky and scary to me.
I didn't care about the flyer.
I just thought it was like more like a Halloween theme than anything and not summer at all. And then we segue from Brooke seeing the flyer on her laptop to Peyton looking at it on hers while she's at an outside eating area for a restaurant. And then Ellie sits down at a table nearby. So then Peyton goes to sit with Ellie and, tell her off.
Do you think Ellie's stalking Peyton?
Yeah, I would say so.
Because I feel like there's other places to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that she's at the same one as Peyton.
Mm-hmm.
Like she probably knows Peyton goes here. So she's like, remember she said like she's been watching her.
Yeah, since she was at least 9, yeah.
So I'm sure, so she knows exactly the places Peyton goes to eat and grab a coffee or whatever. So it's really weird.
Yeah. That's why the username, the IM messages seem to fit so perfectly for Ellie when it wasn't actually even her. But, Peyton tells Ellie to tell her about the story about how it's a wrenching yet inspirational tale of a young girl's complex decision to part with her daughter. And then that's when Ellie just tells her the straight out truth that she just likes drugs more than she liked her.
That was
And
rude. Like how she
yeah.
said it. I was like,
Mhm.
that's awfully mean, especially
Yeah.
someone you're trying to get to know.
Right.
Like you're being so desperate to try to get to know Peyton, right? So why would you say something as awful as I like drugs better than I like you?
Mm-hmm.
What? I'd be,
Yeah.
if somebody said it to me, especially like somebody who'd given birth to me, I'd be like,
Mhm.
well, you're dead to me. See you never. Like,
Mhm.
what?
Yeah, I think she definitely overdid it. I think she was just trying to be open with Peyton because up to this
Well, but
point it
how
was
she
all
said it,
secret. Yeah.
wouldn't it have
Yeah.
been better if she had like explained it a little better, but then how
Mhm.
how
Yeah.
it came out of her mouth?
Mhm.
She could have said, like, I'm so sorry, like drugs took over my life. And at that time, I prioritized it over you.
Mhm.
Instead of I like drugs better than I like you. And how she said it like that, I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, Cynthia, if your supposed birth mother said that,
Mhm.
would you want to speak to her?
No.
Oh my God, like it was so awful. I mean, this is the thing
Mhm.
is like, Ellie, if you're trying to get to know Peyton, why would you say it like that?
Mhm.
I don't get it. Somebody that what cares all of a sudden shouldn't be saying it like that.
Right, and then she tries to kind of take responsibility, saying she's a different person now, but those decisions are
Doesn't
still
sound like
hers.
it. Doesn't sound
Mhm.
again, someone that had changed would say it nicely and not word it that way, but someone that doesn't give a crap and still is the same person would word
Mhm.
it exactly the way she did it.
Yeah. And then Payne's like, you just can't come here after 17 years to make peace with yourself. And you know, Ellie says, for what it's worth, she crawled out of that hole a long time ago. That's what Payne said. And Payne tells Payne her father wouldn't let her see her. And then, of course, Payne doesn't believe her at first. But then Ellie goes on to explain that she knew of Peyton going under a certain bridge by the river, and she was with a brunette girl who wore a little too much eye makeup for a 10-year-old. So obviously that was Brooke. So, yeah, so this Peyton's 17 now. So that was 7 years ago. So that's how long Ellie's known Peyton because she was, watching her. Did you ever watch Switched at Birth?
Yeah. I love that
Do
show.
Yeah, do you remember this was kind of the same thing with Regina? She knew about Babe for the longest time and was watching her as well. It's kind of like that situation, but didn't interfere, you know?
Well, yeah, because she knows she interfered, she'd lose Daphne.
Right, yeah. I'm just saying, it just reminded me of that. But
Um, her dad,
who's dead?
Peyton's dad acts like I don't know. I always got like the feeling that Ellie kind of was watching Peyton when Peyton's mom died. But if she was like 9 when she died,
Mm-hmm.
but now all of a sudden she's 10 when Ellie is creeping on her, um, then obviously she was watching her after her mom died.
Right.
I don't know. It just always seemed like it was the same time. Because remember, her dad says, like, we were planning on telling you, but then your mom died. But then I don't know. It just always seemed like it was like the exact same time.
Mhm.
I don't know. But maybe it could have sounded like that, but now they're going to write it differently. You know how they do that.
Mm-hmm. And then the next scene is with Peyton storming to the backyard to yell at her dad.
First time we're ever seeing Peyton's backyard, and what, the last time?
Yeah.
I was like, never seen her backyard.
Mm-mm.
And then I was
Or
thinking,
anybody's.
I was like, well, no, didn't we see the Scott's backyard when they were eating with Royal and May?
Yeah, Nathan's. But I mean, like the other kids with the smaller houses and yards. Yeah.
Yeah, well, but I just thought, and then I was like, I don't think we're ever gonna see Peyton's backyard again.
Right. Yeah. No.
It's just kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't he be like, I don't know, like, because we never see the backyard. Shouldn't he been in like the kitchen?
Right. But I wonder, like, because we know that Ellie came into Payne's life now because of her cancer, but was that a recent thing, or did she actually get diagnosed 7 years ago, and that's why she started watching Peyton? That's what I'm confused about a little bit.
Yeah.
After a decade, why start looking
Now.
out? Yeah, because they don't really explain that,
So
timeline there.
was it 7 years ago that she finally dumped drugs and
Oh yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
regretted Peyton or not
Giving
giving her
Mhm.
up, and
Yeah,
then
maybe that's probably it. And then the cancer came,
and then I
and
can't, and then so
she
she
couldn't be distant
well,
anymore.
and she probably made that deal
Mm-hmm.
and kept the deal with her parents, which
Mm-hmm.
was I'll wait until Peyton's ready,
Mm-hmm.
but then I'll watch her
Mm-hmm.
creepily, and
Yeah.
then but now I have cancer, so now I need to meet her because I'm dying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
That's
probably it. Yeah.
probably what it was. Because otherwise,
Yeah.
yeah, you would have done it when she was. But again, she didn't know when she was 10. She was a. Wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like yeah, Peyton found out when she was 17, which is crazy. But wouldn't it have been weird if like Ellie had done this crap when she was 10?
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine a little 10-year-old girl,
Mm-hmm.
a grown ass woman coming up to a 10-year-old girl, being like, "I'm your mother."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and
Yeah.
Ellie isn't soft either, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
she comes off as a bitch
Yeah.
to me. And like I never liked Ellie. I don't know why people do, but I never cared for Ellie.
Well, I mean, she was a mom
So
to her towards the end, but yeah.
no, I always thought that Ellie and Peyton scenes were always boring. I
Um,
always wanted to fast forward over all the Ellie and Peyton scenes. But I was just like, could you imagine Ellie and her tone and manner and everything coming up to a little 10-year-old who had
Mhm.
just lost her mom a year before saying, "I'm your mom"?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that would be traumatizing for her. At least she was 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know how Peyton was like, "You should have told me," to her dad.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been traumatizing
Yeah.
because you don't understand because you just lost your own mom.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
Yeah.
Peyton doesn't have that rationalization, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he tries to explain that to her too. But she storms back into the house, into her room, and then he follows her. And then he said that she can't be stomping her little chicken ass around this house. That seemed like out of dad character to say to his daughter, but yeah. Because they always seem to do that with a lot of characters. Like Brooke, I know, does that too, talking about how thin Peyton is, you know?
Mhm.
So I just don't like the way they keep doing that to her. But yeah, so he tries to explain what happened and how she, did try to see her 10 or 7 years ago when she was 10. But it was his decision because he's her father after all. And then that's when Peyton turns around and says, like, but you're not my father, are you? Which I knew, had to really hurt him.
Yeah, this is the thing of like being an adopted parent is one day they could be like, "Well, you're not my parent."
Mm-hmm.
And, never see you again because all of a sudden, like Peyton, I met my birth mom, so she's more important. And then all that time, and effort and money that you spent into this child
Mm-hmm.
is gone. I mean,
Yeah.
because yeah, it can happen to birth parent or regular families too. Of like if it's a toxic environment, but I mean, most of the time you're always going to go back to your parents, but if when you're adopted and you meet your birth parent, it's totally
Mm-hmm.
different. Like I always feel bad for adopted parents because you love that child that didn't come from you.
Mm-hmm.
And you put all of your effort and love and support and money into that child for
Mm-hmm.
them to just,
Yeah.
leave you one day.
Yeah. And then we see Brooke go through the same thing later on too. So
Well, and I mean too, it's like all those holidays, and then all of a sudden the child is like, "Well, I'm going to spend the Christmas with
Mm-hmm.
my birth family," and it's like, what did I
Yeah.
mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
So I just always feel bad for the adopted parents because I'm like, they loved your child when you clearly didn't.
Mm-hmm. And then Peyton takes it a step farther because she takes one of her records and breaks it against the doorway and said that, to her dad, that's him. And because he's sounding like a broken record lately with his excuses about Ellie. And,
Well,
Larry
it's
tells
not
Peyton.
Peyton is not the person that like you can sit and have a true conversation with, because anytime he tries, she runs away.
Yeah.
So this is why it's taking episodes to try to get it to through her head. And that's why he sounds like a broken record, because this could have all been handled in like maybe 2 deep-hearted conversations. But because Peyton is not that person and runs away, this is why it seems like it's ongoing forever. And he sounds like a broken record because of Peyton. Because she's too naive and young to understand it. I mean, really, Peyton?
Yeah. Yeah. So Larry explains.
So take it like a step farther for Peyton. Okay, you're with Jake, right? For the next 16 years. Jenny is like your pride and joy. You're not her mom. All of a sudden, one day she is 17, 18. Now all of a sudden she wants Nikki, right? And then you mean nothing to her, Peyton. And she comes and tells you that. How would you feel? Because, Peyton invested her whole life into her. It's like, could have been the same thing. It's like Jenny could have pulled the same thing with Peyton if she was with Jake of, you're not my mom, and Nikki's my mom, and she's fun, and I'm going to go hang out with her.
Yeah.
Could have been the same thing. So for Peyton to like trash talk her dad and kind of like ruin her mom's memory and all of this, all for Ellie. It's like, Peyton, it could have been you with Jake.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it because I'm like, the parallel too is Jake and Peyton with Jenny, because that's not her kid.
Yeah, so Larry explained that Ellie, still had the drug habit when she came back into the picture when she was 10, and she moved around a lot, which I get too. So he didn't want.
So all of a sudden you're supposed to tell your daughter, this is your birth mom, and she doesn't really understand what a birth mom is because she's 10.
Yeah.
And her mom had just died. And but Ellie still has a drug problem, and she moves around. So you meet her, you want to get to know her, and then all of a sudden, boom, she disappears. I mean, yeah, would you want to put your little girl through that?
No.
And she had just lost her biggest supporter. No, I wouldn't either. You keep running away. As for Ellie, no, I'm not letting you near my child.
Yeah, so Larry points out that Peyton was in a rough place emotionally back then and still is now. But now,
you know how Ellie tries to make it like it's Larry's fault? And I believe Larry. Like when he says she had a drug problem, she left all the time. She, was basically unstable. And I believe that because we've heard her talk about like, oh, and I was, hanging out with like this rock star, or that it's like you had that lifestyle of you didn't know where you were going to be. So it actually, for like the content of like her story, Larry's the one that actually is telling the truth.
Yeah.
Because for Ellie, she's like, well, he just didn't let me see you. He had a reason why. It wasn't just because, you came back.
Yeah.
You came back with baggage still, and current baggage. It's one thing, I think, if she would have left, the drug problems, and she came back and she would have told Larry, like, I'll work on everything. I'll be there for her. I'll change my life. And he had saw that progress. That'd have been one thing. But for her to just blame him, like, that's just so wrong. So I agree with Larry's story more than I agree with Ellie, but I don't like that Ellie is making Larry the bad guy. And also, he raised your daughter. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You chose to give her up. He gave her a great life. And then you're going to just make him the bad guy?
Right.
What? Your daughter could have been living with you and been, grew up with drugs and all that. And then, or she could have been, I don't know, in foster care. And, like we watched, you saw Life Unexpected, right?
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have a good life.
Right.
And her birth mom gave her up because she thought she'd have a good life. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, Ellie, Peyton could have had it 10 times worse.
Yeah.
She had a good life. You should be thankful for Larry.
Mm-hmm.
This is why Ellie drives me nuts. I
Yeah.
think this is why I've always hated her, because she comes in so hot and stalks her, and then she puts the blame on Larry instead of herself. Blame
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Yeah.
And also, thank Larry. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
so tired of this.
Yeah.
See, I'm already tired of her, and I know I got many more episodes with her.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's been pretty absent with Peyton's life too since her mom died, but yeah. And then, yeah, so he just tells her that to Peyton, that's up to her now if she wants to have Ellie in her life or not. And then Lucas goes to see Brooke at the apartment, and he says that 1972 is outside because apparently the couch looks like that from that decade. And then that's when Brooke gets into the try out the couch thing, and then they start making out, and that's when
Oh,
Haley
I
walks
thought it was
out.
yeah, I thought it was funny when Haley walks in. It's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, it's too early for this," and everything, and she's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, well, what time would be better?" And never o'clock.
Yeah,
Funny.
or a quarter after stab out my eyes. And then, she mentions the couch hasn't been stain guarded yet, so they may want to get a room instead. And Brooke points out that if they get a room, then she's gonna be on the couch. But I
She
thought it
meant
was,
a hotel room.
yeah. Well, I thought it was funny how after Haley said that, Lucas is just looking at the couch the whole time with like a repulsed face expression on him. So I thought that was funny. And then Brooke tells Lucas to give her a minute and they'll go to the beach. And Brooke goes to the bedroom, and that's when Lucas and Haley talk. And so, Lucas tells Haley that Brooke asked him to help her out with the party, and Haley asks, by Brooke, does that mean his part-time girlfriend? And then Lucas closes the door to the apartment as if the neighbors can hear him. Is that what was going on?
I
Because
don't know.
we never even see anybody walking by, so I don't know why he closed the door. Because Brooke's in the other room, so it's not like he was trying to hide it from her. But yeah, I don't know. And then Haley, asks about the summer party, and Lucas is trying to joke around, saying about, that's the season that's called summer and it ends. Another season starts that's called fall. And Haley pretending not to be annoyed by his answer, but rephrases, asking what's up with the part-time girlfriend stuff. And Lucas says he doesn't know yet. They're on Brooke's terms. So just like how it was with Felix then, because that's how she, did it with him too.
But when he brings up Nathan was in a pretty bad mood at the river court,
Mhm.
and like, he thinks that's why Haley is in this mood. And then she didn't even know. It was just so funny because he's like, "Oh, you didn't know?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so of course Haley right away has to go see him.
Why? He doesn't want to see you. If he wanted to see you, wouldn't he be at your door?
Right. But she goes to the house, and of course Dan opens the door and wastes her time by
Oh my
talking with
god,
her.
this was so creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, because he's like, "Oh, come on in," and then he was like, "If it isn't my beloved daughter-in-law," and he's like going on and on, and then he was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I think I found a pair of your black gloves," and she was like, "I don't have any black gloves," and then she's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Just tell me where he is," and he's like, then he goes, "Oh, well, he's not here."
Yeah.
He just keeps like toying with her like the whole time. I was like, "Dan, oh my
Mm-hmm.
god."
And then he also said that to call him dad since her parents aren't around.
Ew. Like,
Yeah.
she would okay, she would never, even if she was like a foster kid or something, like she still would not call you father or dad. Like
Mm-hmm.
like over her dead body.
Yeah. And then when Dan realized that Nathan didn't tell Haley that he was coming home, he says, has the nerve to say in front of Haley that he's sometimes proud of that kid.
Mm-hmm. Then he
Mm-hmm.
was like saying like, "Oh yeah, like it sucks, your marriage is over and stuff." And he said, "Who knew we had so much in common?"
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
I know, but
And
it was pretty Dan was pretty funny.
yeah.
But I wouldn't want to be Haley because it's not like her and Dan have this father-in-law, daughter-in-law relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he hates Haley.
Yeah.
So it's just awkward, but it is funny to watch.
Mm-hmm. And then we go to a scene with Larry and Ellie.
Oh, I love Larry in this. Oh, remember how much I hated him seasons ago?
Yeah.
It's like, but when he comes to Ellie, I love Larry in this.
Yeah, so, he's angry and says that they had an agreement. And then, Ellie says, it's been a long time. And he comes back with not long enough. And she'll forgive him for skipping the love and going straight to the you've got to let him nerve part. And he tells Ellie that Payne's a real mess. And then
I
Ellie
loved when he
says,
said that you caused it.
yeah. And then I wrote too in my notes that Ellie tries to take some of the blame off of her by pointing out that he caused it by not telling Payne about her.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
He's always blaming Larry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then even though this is Ellie's chance to explain herself to Larry, she still doesn't tell him that she's sick. She just says that her situation changed.
Yeah.
So I don't think she should have done that.
Well, isn't it supposed to be for us to know she's not sick?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But just
like
for
she's
her.
just being some creepy birth mom coming into town.
Yeah.
Because remember, aren't we supposed to still believe she's part of that internet thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just saying, for her point of view, that would have been good. But first the writer side.
Or she could have said, "I have something to tell you," and then like
they get
it's off air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or go to the next scene. Yeah.
Like we don't know, but now Larry knows.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah. I did how Larry told Ellie that, she gave up Peyton and she has to live with that. But now thanks to her, so does Peyton. Like how she pointed that out to him. Or he pointed that out to her.
He was so good and feisty. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. And then at the beach,
You
Lucas.
know what I think too?
What?
I think it has something to do with the actor.
Oh,
I think because the 2 seasons prior, whoever played her father didn't really play her father the way that a father would act.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this one coming in, he definitely plays the father role perfectly. And I think that's the reason why it's like, I believe him. I like him. Even though he's never around. It's like you believe it because how he's acting is how a father would protect his daughter. But the ones prior didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was sort of like, oh, I got to read what's on the paper, and like, oh, okay, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming in as very protective, where the other ones really didn't.
Right.
They tried. Remember, it was like, like laughing at Lucas for bringing it up. They didn't play it as protective, fatherly like he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why we can believe him so much more, because he comes in as that father.
Mm-hmm.
Where the other ones were just sort of like, a friend.
Right.
Don't you think it has something to do with the actor?
Yeah.
Think of like the other ones. They could not have. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like, they just couldn't have played it like he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then at the beach, Lucas and Brooke are gathering firewood for the party. And Brooke asks if that'll be enough, and Lucas says he can get some more when he's about to pick her up. And then that's when Brooke's like, "No, actually, I want to go with Peyton because I'm playing the field tonight." So then Lucas acts confused, and Brooke points out that they said non-exclusively. So then Lucas says to Brooke he's not sure if she's going to be able to handle being non-exclusive because pretty soon she's going to fall for him. But of course, this is just his way of covering up his real feelings because he doesn't want to be
She's already fell for you.
Right. But he doesn't know that. And
what?
then
previously she wasn't all in love with him?
No, I mean right now, yeah. Yeah, it continues that she's just gonna have to break up with all the other guys, and that's gonna get ugly. And he defends this by saying he's looking out for her, and Brooke tells him thanks, but she'll be fine. And then she's sure of that. And again, Lucas acts like he's not hurt by laughing at her, saying that she's sure. And then Brooke says she wants to go swimming and takes off her shirt in front of Lucas to tease him. And Brooke then asks Lucas if he wants to come and look out for her some more. And then he says he'll just catch up. And then next, we don't see Lucas going to the water with Brooke, but into the cafe. And then Karen randomly.
Why is she all of a sudden trying to act like she's like this hip mother?
Yeah.
Wanting to be people's friends. That's weird. This whole episode with her is so weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she said this because of her new hip cafe and wants to keep her vocabulary current. And then she does that woot thing and embarrasses Lucas because he says it's kind of like Wahoo or Yahoo. And she's staying with everybody there in the cafe, which is, out of character for her.
That's what I mean. It's so weird. I can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I couldn't with Karen.
Yeah. And then she goes with what? Same situation.
And he's just like, no.
Yeah. And then Lucas tells her to lay off the hip hop and asks if it's Andy's influence. And then asks if he's ever coming back. And she says she's not sure. And apparently because Andy wanted kids to start a family, but she's not sure if she wants the same.
This is so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the future. It's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that way. But too, they were seeing each other for a while. You think that the kid thing would have came up, at some point, at least with, because she already had Lucas. So I could have easily seen him like just asking, did she ever think about having more kids,
Mm-hmm.
Apparently that didn't become a situation now until he was out of the country. Yeah.
Left and didn't come back.
Yeah. And
so
then
I thought he couldn't come back. Wasn't it in season 2 he couldn't come back because Dan like stopped him because of his visa and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was the reason why he couldn't come back. Now all of a sudden it's because they basically broke up because he wants kids.
Right. Yeah.
What happened to his visa?
I know.
What? It's like that whole storyline fell. And that was more believable.
Yeah.
Than this.
Mm-hmm. And then Lucas tries to line up her mood by asking, if her first kid was so rotten that she was scared to try again. And she's not amused, but says essentially that's it. And then, says that Andy deserves a guy. And then there's Keith.
He deserves a guy?
Oh, sorry. I was reading. I was like, I'm skipping words. He's a wonderful guy, but he deserves a family. And then she mentions Keith.
Why is it anytime Andy's brought up, she goes back to Keith? It's so, if you wanted Keith so bad, why didn't you marry him when he proposed out of nowhere?
Yeah.
I don't understand Karen. Like, for the whole season 1, she was not interested. And then he proposed and she's not interested. And then all of a sudden, now she's interested after the proposal, after he found Jules, after he moved. Like, all of this is so annoying because you had him.
Mm-hmm.
And you chose not to be with him. You didn't want him. So stop bringing him up in everything. It's so annoying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then she even mentioned about seeing him the day that she left for New Zealand. She thought she saw him across the street.
But also, why would Andy want to be with her? Someone who isn't fully invested in you is, you're basically the side person.
Mm-hmm.
She's only with you because she's not with him.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the future, Cynthia.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah,
I think that was the thing. Like, even though it's like, great, it's Andy, someone we know, but at the same time, if you want to talk feelings and like all of that, why would he want to come back? It's just weird.
Yeah. And then Karen also mentioned that was the same day as the fire. So Lucas acts like he just remembered something and says he has to go do some errands before the party. But before he leaves, Karen does that what thing again.
Yeah, so annoying.
Yeah. And then in the weight room, Haley finds Nathan there because she saw his car in the parking lot, apparently. And then she mentioned she didn't know he was back. And Lucas says, yeah, I know.
Nathan?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Nathan. And then Haley asks if he got the letters that she sent him, and he says, yeah, obviously not wanting to talk to her. And she keeps going with, it's good to see him. Since she's not taking the hint, Nathan tells her that he can't do this. And she asks him to do what? Talk to her. He didn't even tell her that he was home. And what was he going to do? Pass her in the hallway at school and not say a word?
And then he said, I didn't know you'd be in school.
Yeah,
and
which is
said,
true.
I told you I'm here for good. And it's like, but you did run away.
Right.
And then it was weird because she's like, I'm staying in our apartment. Like he gives a crap.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want to talk to you. Stop talking. And then but what did you like though when she said that if basketball doesn't work out, you have a future as a painter? Like, I just thought it was like rude. Because like he was hurting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think she's just trying to make it like light of it all and like a joke, but yeah, that wasn't funny at all.
And then, she's like, oh, we have decisions to make. And he's like, yeah. And then, like he cares that she'll be at the beach party.
Mm-hmm.
But then when she was walking out, she was like, you've changed. It's like, because he doesn't want to talk to you. Like, he's mad. He's not going to be all happy 24/7 like a weird little couple that you were in season 2. Remember I said that. Why do they act like their marriage is so perfect? Like, no one's is. And it's like, here it is. Like, yeah, he's mad at you. And why wouldn't he be?
Mm-hmm.
This is the problem. She doesn't take accountability. And I've said that in season 2. This girl does not take accountability for her actions. She hurt him. She left him for months. And yet, with no talking to him. And now she wants to just waltz back in and act and be his wife and act like nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? He almost killed himself because of it. Like, how do you not get that through your head? Shouldn't she try to be sucking up to him instead of being like, you've changed? What? He should have said, you did too when you left. Like the girl I married wouldn't have left me.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been a good burn? But then, he said, yeah, like I changed because of you. It was funny.
Yeah.
Or he said, I have you to thank for that. I'm like, oh, that was such a good burn. And like, she like doesn't like that and stuff, but it's like, he's a lot nicer than I would have been. Because he held back a lot.
Yeah.
Think of all the stuff he could have said.
And then while out on a walk, Lucas sees Ellie getting drugs from a dealer. They end up making eye contact, but Ellie keeps walking as Lucas looks down, acting like he saw nothing. And then Brooke goes to see Peyton at her house and saying not exactly your finest hour in party attire, but somebody might go for the homeless girl look. So this was like another trend back then and not, it's still kind of, well, I mean, as far as I know, it's not really that much present, but it seemed like that they always use like looking quote unquote homeless was like a bad thing, like, making fun of it. Like if you don't look your best, that means your worst is the same equal to as people who don't have a home, So I didn't like that. And then Peyton says to Brooke that she knows she doesn't want to go to this thing. And Brooke says she knows, but Mouth has thrown himself his own personal pity party over Erica. And then mentions that, it's Peyton that she's her DJ. And this is the last end of the summer party they're going to have before their seniors. And Peyton teases her about that. She'll have another chance when she flunks out and has to repeat senior year. And Brooke says that's a spirit, sort of. And then Brooke tells Peyton, speaking of mean, just don't be mean to Haley. They're going to party. And then that's when Peyton follows Brooke out with her records.
So, you know how it goes then to the beach and everything. Tim was so obnoxious because he's like, "Can we light the bonfire?" And then he's like, "Can we?" I'm like, "What are you, 5?"
Yeah, well, I said that he has just puppy energy this whole scene here with his excitement. And then Brooke was funny too.
Then he like disappears in a couple episodes.
Yeah. And then I thought Brooke was funny how she said, "Oh, look, it's Tim. I had a dream you died. Darn." And that doesn't even face him because he's just excited to show her the stuff that he brought to burn in the bonfire.
He just keeps following her around.
And he even brought cleaning supplies, which is just going to like cause an explosion in the fire, and then rotting fruit, that won't smell good. And then he even mentions a dead animal on the beach that would burn really cool. And then that's when Brooke says that he would burn really cool. So this is, so for them to sacrifice a virgin, and Tim, of course, is clueless what this means, that she means him, and asks her who it is, still with all the puppy energy. And then before Brooke can tell him it's him, the police sirens go off. And Tim assumes that's a cop car and panics, knocking the cups down from people that are holding them, trying to get rid of the alcohol, and then stands acting all casual. But then the police truck is actually the lifeguards who walk up to Brooke, wanting drinks. And then after seeing the guys weren't police, Tim apologizes to the people and saying that there's still some alcohol in them, even though he's missing the fact that there's also sand in them now, too, at this point. And then he runs off before they can hurt him. I thought that was funny. And then at the beach house, it looks like Dan is looking at the report of the dealership fire, trying to piece together who tried to kill him, and he sees that the investigation is closed. And then he gets flashbacks of the figure from the fire, then remembering himself on the floor.
So I was surprised that he's sitting there with candles.
Yeah, that's what I said about him and the lighter. Like, you think that he would have a phobia of fire at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was trauma, a fire.
Mhm.
You were in a
Yeah.
fire, you burned, and
Mhm.
I'm like, why would you be sitting in the dark next to a candle which could go off? I was
Mhm.
like, that's not exactly smart.
I guess it was just their only way to segue into the next scene with the back of the beach party with Brooke holding that torch for the bonfire and giving that speech about, summer is theirs as long as it's lit. But apparently Sophia didn't remember that she even lit it. She forgot about that part. And then Brooke sees Peyton giving her the cue to play the music, and Peyton plays the song "You Light Up My Life" by Debbie Bone or Boone. I don't know how to say that. And it's a slow song that's not appropriate for a party, and people's faces show that. Even Lucas and Haley are confused. And then Dan goes to the cafe to see Karen, who says, "Look who it is, the kissing bandit," and then asks if he followed anyone while she was away. And Dan admits he should apologize, but he won't. He says the kiss was reckless, a mistake, sort of like Lucas. And Karen just looks at him, so he says that it was a joke. But I'm surprised she didn't slap him in this moment or throw something at him like before. But Karen just comes back with no wonder why he's getting
I think
divorced.
she's so used to him just saying that.
Yeah, maybe.
That's how all season 1, that's all we heard.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that's how he feels.
Yeah.
But you would think that he wouldn't after he had Lucas living with him.
Mm-hmm. So she asks how his divorce is going along, and he disgustingly asks if she's ready for, round 2. And Karen says she just threw up a little bit in her mouth from hearing that. And
what
then,
did you think though when he was like saying that or when she said, if you're looking for people to be angry with, start with A in the phone book, and he goes,
Mhm.
"Oh, you mean A is an Andy or B
Yeah.
is in boozy?" I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm. Right. And then calls Keith a rag doll and asks how he's doing these days. And Karen says, if he's trying to see the fire, is he trying to say the fire wasn't an accident and didn't X, Y? Is that what you're saying? And Karen says she's going to play the right to refuse service card, so it tells him to get out. And Karen says that they can just call it a reckless mistake about saying that he could have coffee. And he says, fair enough. And to
Oh my
say
God.
hi to
Yes,
Andy
say hi
for
to
him.
Andy for
Yeah.
him. He said, if you ever see the little guy.
Yeah.
What? Oh my God, Dan.
Mm-hmm. And that's when Karen says that if someone did try to kill him, she's sorry they failed. Maybe next time they won't, whoever they were. So they're still trying to, play the game as if like who done it, to Dan.
Yeah, like now it could be Karen.
Mm-hmm. And then back at the beach, Tim is singing with a guitar badly in front of a group of girls singing like who wants to swim with naked Tim, who wants to get drunk and have sex with him. And the girls walk away, of course. And then a pregnant woman walks up who honestly did look past the age of high school. But Tim says he knows they call it skinny dipping, but does she want to try it anyway? And she tells him that she's pregnant and calls him an idiot and walks away. And Tim yells that he's cool with her being pregnant because he's just that desperate to sleep with anybody. And then elsewhere on the beach, Lucas is alone, leaning against the lifeguard tower, looking at Brooke, who's mingling with guys. And then Haley walks up and asks Lucas how's that casual dating thing working out for him. And I feel like Haley shouldn't really be in his business about this since, her relationship is really rocky at this point.
She's always done that. She's always meddled in his life or his love life when hers, isn't so good.
Mm-hmm.
She did that even in season 1. But what I had a thing with was Haley she didn't want to go to this beach party to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she first was wearing the same outfit that she wore when we first saw her in this episode, which was that tank top. And then like when Brooke was lighting the torch and everything, and then she was with Lucas and she was wearing same outfit. Well, then now she's coming up wearing this outfit.
I don't even know if she switched outfits.
And my thing is, Peyton still wearing the same shirt. Brooke is still wearing that same outfit. I'm like, nobody changed besides Haley. And Haley didn't want to go to this beach party. You would think Brooke would have like 3 different outfit changes, not Haley.
Well, I don't know what had happened, but apparently she just wanted to impress Nathan if he was ever going to show up because that's the only reason why she went there in the first place.
But why wouldn't she have worn that when they first got to the beach the first time? You mean to tell me she went all the way home, then changed and came back? No. Because if you're going to go, you're going to go wearing whatever the first time.
Yeah.
You're not going to go home, change, and then come back. Especially when you went with like Lucas and Brooke, kind of like you're not going to just go back home alone.
Yeah. And then Haley tells Lucas that it could be worse because Nathan didn't even show up. So she I didn't like how she was kind of like pointing that out to everybody. Like, I'm just waiting for Nathan and he's not even here. And just kind of, making her problems everybody else's at this party here.
I just didn't like that she's even bringing it up because it's like he doesn't want to be around any of you people. He has a right not to go.
Yeah.
And, so he's only supposed to go to see you. No. He doesn't even like you at this point.
And then Lucas walks over to hang out with Peyton at the DJ booth. He opens a conversation with that he doesn't blame her. And she asks what's that, and he explains the music. It's enough to drive anyone to drink. And he says, because that's what she's doing. He then asks if it's the mom stuff, and Payne says she doesn't know. She doesn't feel like she owes Ellie anything, but she still feels guilty for freezing her out. And then she asks Lucas, is trusting someone always going to be impossible in her life? And he doesn't answer, but she says maybe she should at least try it with her. And then she looks at Lucas and mentions there's that look again, and he says, what look? And he says he doesn't have a look. And then randomly Payne says that he has a tail the size of J-Lo's ass, like another random thing. And then she tells him what does he have on Ellie? And he doesn't say anything. So Payne asks if she's about to make a huge mistake, help her out. And Lucas says the thing that he saw was Ellie buying drugs in the park today. And Ellie says, so it all makes sense. She said she was clean. Oh, yeah. 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 Ellie said she was clean, but so far she's kind of. Yeah.
You keep saying Ellie said. You keep saying Ellie said.
Yeah, because Ellie said she was clean, but so far all she's done is lie. So that was Payne saying that to Lucas that Ellie was clean. Yeah.
Yeah, but you keep saying Ellie said that she was like it's all a lie.
Yeah, that's what Payne was explaining to Lucas. Like, I'm doing it from another perspective, but Payne's like, Ellie told me she was clean, but so far all she's done is lie. So that's what I was trying to explain. And then that's when Brooke walks up to them and asking for Payne to change the music because it's something, the song she's playing right now makes her want to shoot up and die. And then that's when Lucas and Payne take the timing of that statement, from Brooke because she doesn't realize what she's saying about Ellie. And then that's when Payne acts or plays something more electric and looks to Brooke to see if she approves. And Brooke does and tells Payne thank you. And Payne is still giving Brooke an attitude and looks at Lucas and says she needs a drink and walks away. And then Brooke goes as well. Lucas just is watching the party. And then later on, it's dark now. Everyone is still partying. And then we, for some reason, see a naked Tim dance with a guitar. And then Brooke walks up to Lucas saying if she was looking for a guy to go skinny dipping with, would it be him? And he says, yeah, but give him 20 minutes because he saw Haley staying alone. And
he goes to see Nathan.
Yep. Because you think it was going to be just talk to Haley, but nope.
Oh my God. And Nathan is, of course, still playing basketball on the river court.
Mm-hmm. And then I didn't like how Lucas was kind of pressuring Nathan to go to the party and give
And talk to Haley.
another chance and all that.
Like, dude, I so agree with Nathan of like, stay out of it. I
Yeah.
don't want to talk to her. You know, give it a rest. I was so on Nathan's side. And then Lucas, she loves you, basically. Like, forgive her. And it's like, she, okay, not only did she cheat and run off with them, they were married. She ruined those vows that she said just a couple weeks before. She, and it wasn't even months before. It was only a couple weeks before. I mean, are you kidding me, Lucas? Try being married to someone that cheated on you and then talk to him. I was like, that's so rude, Lucas.
Yeah.
And then, he's like, I tried with you, Nathan. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? It's so annoying.
Yeah.
But then he said that he called him a coward though, and I was like, how is Nathan a coward for not going, for not talking to her? He has every right to. And also he did sign those annulment papers, so he was out of the marriage a long time ago.
Yeah, just because Haley loves Nathan, that doesn't like that's not enough sometimes, you should forgive someone just because they love you.
So, and she should have thought about loving him before that. You're loving him. Why now? Out of nowhere? Yeah. It's just weird. It's not like you've been in love with him. Like when he came to see you, there was no love from you. It was kind of like, what are you doing here? Like, I'll hug you. Like, it was just weird. There's no love there. At least in season 2, there wasn't.
Yeah. And Lucas took this as that he was just, looking out for Haley because he's told Nathan that if he mistreats her, then he's wrong and don't try it for a second because he's going to hurt him.
Yeah, what did you think? I said, if you mistreat her, like with his voice and everything, I was like, oh my God, Lucas.
Yeah, because Nathan isn't scared of Lucas.
No, but just, and that's what was funny too, was like, Nathan could easily punch you, Lucas. And with your heart condition, I feel like you went down a little in like the toughness because of your heart condition. I feel like Nathan could definitely knock you out even more now. Especially now that he is like upset. He doesn't have the heart condition. Like, he's good.
Yeah. And then Lucas gets back to the beach to find Brooke's clothes in the sand and her skinny dipping with the lifeguard. So that's when Haley walks up and says at least she won't drown naked. And then a bit later, Tim, who has his clothes on now, thankfully, walks up to Haley, calling her tutor girl, and tells her to check out.
Weird.
Yeah.
Because he was like, oh, like sing and stuff. And, then he was like, like sing the song and stuff. It's like, no. And then she was like, I don't want to. And then I love when Nathan comes around the corner and throws the guitar in the fire.
Yeah.
It was so good. And then did you see Tim though goes, Nathan's back. Like he has he's not sad or anything that the guitar was thrown in. He's just all like, Nathan's back.
I thought it was funny how when the guitar was thrown into the fire, the people cheered because now they don't have to hear Tim playing anymore. And then so he goes off to follow Nathan, and then Haley gives Lucas a little smile like it's a good sign that Nathan did that, but Lucas doesn't find it as a good thing by his facial expression.
I didn't really watch Haley looking at Lucas like that.
Yeah. And then Brooke is out of the ocean in a towel grabbing her clothes from the sand, and she walks up to Lucas asking if he's having fun yet, and Lucas says, is she? And she says she is. And they're never to be there again. They're seniors. They gotta enjoy it. And then he asks Brooke, doesn't she think that, if they're never going to be here again, then maybe they should make it mean something too. But then just then one of the lifeguards uses the bullhorn to say to Brooke to not put her clothes back on. And Lucas tells her to go hang out with them. And then that's when Haley, again, ends up going to Peyton to...
Okay, Peyton, you can already tell, like, in this season, she's not a fan of Haley. So the fact that Haley thinks that, I mean, has she really been around you since you've been back? No. So why would you think that she'd want to talk to you now? Like, you also ignored her.
Mhm.
And then, she's like, oh, I should get a drink too, And Peyton is just like, I am not here for this pity party with you.
Mhm.
And because that's when, oh, what was it? I don't know. She was just annoying, Haley was, because like she doesn't take accountability for anything. Did she apologize to Peyton for leaving?
No.
She's just annoying.
Mhm.
But I did love that, like, Peyton's like, I'm not like giving in to you like Lucas and Brooke are. And she
Mhm.
puts on the song.
Yeah.
But it was also hurtful for Nathan because, there he is.
Mhm. And then he ends up telling Haley that he's sorry. He should have told her that he was back in town.
No, he shouldn't.
Yeah.
She'll see him eventually.
Mhm. And then he explains that he's been avoiding her because he's still mad about everything and he doesn't see it changing anytime soon, and mentions the last 2 times he's been to the beach was for their wedding and when he burnt the wedding wall. So then Nathan tells her that, how he did it. He broke it in half with a keyboard. He brought her first and then burned it. And Haley says that she wants to know what he wants from her or for them.
I
And
think Nathan just got back from High Flyers. He needs to figure out himself first before he can
Mhm.
figure out. And that, that's when he was like, because she's like, what are we and stuff. It's like, just because
Mhm.
you had time to think about it, what you want all of a sudden, not when you were actually married in a good place. It's
Mhm.
like, now all of a sudden it's all about you, Haley. No, it's not. And so I did like when he said that he can't answer that right now. He doesn't even know if, he even wants to really be with her.
Mhm.
But I didn't like when she said, "Don't say that." And it's like, you asked the question.
Mhm.
Just then, if you don't want to know the answer, then you shouldn't ask the question, Haley.
Mhm.
I just
And then
didn't.
when he
And I liked it too how Peyton was on Nathan's side because Nathan needs a friend. Nathan needs
Mhm.
somebody on his side because not even his best friend Tim is on his side.
Mhm.
He's over there talking to Haley. It's like
Mhm.
for Brooke to be on Nathan's side, it was like, thank God somebody is.
Mhm.
Because Brooke and Lucas gave in to Haley right away.
Do you
Wait,
mean Peyton?
what? No. Lucas and Brooke gave in to Haley right away.
Well, you're saying that it's a good thing that Brooke's there for Nathan instead of
No.
Peyton.
Peyton. It's a good thing Peyton's there.
Yeah. I'm just saying you said Brooke by mistake instead of Peyton.
Mm. But I was, because you knew Lucas was going to because they're best friends.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and then he says, "Why even fight for it?" And Haley says, "Because she loves him again. Sometimes that's not enough."
But then, he said that he was going to concentrate on basketball and she should, focus on something other than him. But
Hmm.
then it was annoying because she was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm like,
Yeah, that's
whatever.
what Lucas. That's what Lucas said to Nathan. So they're both being annoying with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah. So then just like Lucas, oh, you just said that, yeah. So then he just walks off, and then a bit later, Lucas sits down next to Haley and says that then there were two. That doesn't sound so bad. This is how they started the last school year. And look how good that turned out. And then he takes her hand for a walk, but then he sees Brooke with the lifeguards again and tells Haley to give him a minute. So he talks to Brooke and gives him that kind of known well speech about like, you can go ahead and have your fun, but I'm actually the guy for you. And he knows that they're just part-time. That's cool. He tells her to do whatever she wants. But one of these nights, she's going to realize that he's the guy for her. She'll see. And then Nathan walks up, staying next to Brooke as they watch Lucas and Haley walk off together. And Nathan's kind of looking sad while Brooke is like smiling a bit. So they're having completely different reactions. And then at the cafe, Ellie is there when Payne walks in. And she places her cocaine vial in front of Ellie on the counter and tells her what it is and says that she thought she might like it considering she was buying drugs today, and walks away. And then Lucas and Haley are walking together on the beach, and Lucas tells Haley it's going to be okay. He thinks it's the beginning of a beautiful friendship
Oh
again.
my God. And then Dan is standing there watching through the fire,
Hmm.
Lucas and Haley.
Yep. And then This triggers Dan's memory of the dealership fire, now making the blurry figure finally clear that it was Lucas. And then outside of his mind, Dan breaks the glass he was drinking from by crushing it in his hand, just shocked to have this memory finally unlocked. So, of course, now he thinks Lucas is the one that started the fire, which is understandable, but, we find out later that there's a plot twist to that.
Mm-hmm. So, for me, the high was... What was the high? I liked when Larry was standing up to Ellie and told her stay away because she needs that.
Yeah.
I like that part. The low was Lucas and Haley being annoying with Nathan. They don't consider Nathan has feelings. He's not
Right.
a person that has feelings. It went through something terrible last year. So he had a tough year. So they just are like, no, Haley's back. She's in love with you. Get over it. And it's bull crap.
Yeah.
So I didn't like how they were treating him, threatening him and stuff. That's just so obnoxious.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I would say that's my low also. And then my high was, well, it was funny when Nathan put the guitar on the fire and took it from Tim because he was bothering everybody with it. But then also I did like Lucas and Haley kind of coming back together because before she came back, it kind of seemed like they kind of had their closure there for their friendship because she wasn't going to come back at the time. So now it's just a good thing that, they are still able to have their friendship after everything, but only because Haley didn't leave Lucas specifically for the tour, but it's just good to have, the friendship that we saw in season 1 kind of come back full circle in this season now.
Right. I'd rate this a 6. It was boring, and I didn't like Lucas and Haley's negativity, and it was just boring for me. I was like, what's the point of this episode?
Well, I give it an 8 just because I did find it entertaining with the whole bonfire party, just because it was nice for them to actually give Tim a role because we don't see him that much anymore, and we won't see him, at all really after this point. But
we'll see him once.
Oh yeah, just once. Yeah, that'll be it. And then best and worst characters.
For me, the worst was Haley. I can't stand that girl. You were the one that ruined your marriage. You were the one that broke the trust, the love, all that, and yet you waltz back in and I'm hip, I'm back. Go away. Nathan needs to have his feelings. And then when you ask him a question and he gives you his honest opinion that he doesn't know, and then why are you hurting me? It's oh my God, you're so dramatic there. It's annoying. So she's definitely the worst. And then how she was talking to Peyton as if she didn't just leave her too. So yeah, no, she was the worst. And then the best, I'm gonna go with Peyton because I know I didn't like the way she was treating her dad, but at the same time, I did like how she's going through so much with the whole Ellie thing, and she didn't even want to go to this, and she went anyway. Even though Brooke was talking about her wardrobe and music choice, and it's you can tell she isn't in the mood to go to this, and I wouldn't have went. So she did, so I give her credit for that because, and also she's sticking up for Nathan. Does he need that? No, but it's nice that she's there for him in her own way.
Yeah,
and giving Haley the silent treatment. But yeah, I just liked how she was still there for Brooke as a friend and did the music, even though Brooke was basically ignoring her the whole night.
Yeah. Yeah, she only talked to her when it was about the music change that she didn't like.
Yeah, and then as soon as she finally put something good on, she's like, that's good, and wanders away. It's why am I here?
Yeah, because
couldn't she have had mouth do it?
Right, yeah. Because, she didn't make sure that Peyton wasn't just glued to the DJ booth the whole time and not talking with anybody else. even though she didn't want to, but still. Yeah, so that was actually my worst and best too, as well, for the same reasons, Haley and Peyton.
We're on the same page there.
Mhm. Yeah.
What's the next episode?
Episode 3, First Day on a Brand New Planet.
Ew.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.